Today is a one-on-one chat day where we've been calling it anti-therapy. For those who are new here, I was a licensed clinical psychologist for 17 years and have been doing more practical coaching and healing, um, helping folks realize oneness and open their body. It's the body that heals, it's not the mind. We wake up from the mind, we heal the body. And so I've been coaching that and advising that level of healing for several years since letting my license go and since transitioning from doing therapy, although I never really did therapy. And now it's sort of anti-therapy. It's the point here in doing this public is that we're to notice that we all are healing the same stuff. We all the same fears, these limiting beliefs, these spell work. It's all the same thing. I was talking about yesterday how the word demon, spell, thought, belief, curse, all of them are the same in my world. It's this artificial matrix. It's untrue thoughts. Simple as that. And they can be really dense and a whole world can be run from them. It doesn't make them any more true. And so we're in public, um, awakening from these together and then healing where they're stored in the body together. So today, Miriam wanted to talk about money and money blocks and limiting beliefs about money. And Miriam, when we first came up with this topic, and then just in general, I'm like, let's give away the farm, moneyless society. Like this is where we have to go. But I made this video last night, and it didn't quite work out how I wanted it to. It wasn't quite right. But basically, what I said was the reason we all have so much trouble with money is because it isn't real, because it doesn't actually exist. That's why the trouble. And it never has existed and it never will exist. It is one of these spellworks. It doesn't actually exist. So that's why we're going to continue to have trouble with it. So we'll talk about money. We'll talk about the limiting beliefs about it. But the main problem is that it doesn't exist. And what exists is like actual resource, which is really all we need as women. We don't need your money. We need we want to be able to live an enjoyable life. We want seeds for our garden and wood for our outdoor fireplace. So it's been it's the artificial matrix. The whole foundation of it, the false god of this world, is money, where basically men have taken the resources, hoarded them, and then sold them back to us, and enslaved women from being able to get them ourselves. Now, we're in this moment in time where women are making our own money, and we're not doing this whole setup anymore. We're not relying on men and not dependent, more and more. But we still have this problem with money. It's still artificial. It doesn't make it any more real. So I want to talk about it, and I want to talk about your limiting beliefs. But I'm curious where this goes because I think we're going to explore like what you really want, and watch how, like, let me just say that, like, me starting this natural healing radio hour and all of this, I'm doing it for free, but it is 100%. There's no difference between work and play for me, right? I'm doing what I love to do, doing what I always wanted to do, and it just got freer and freer and more aligned and more realized as I've been going. And money is starting to come in. Not that that's why I'm doing it. I'm obviously giving it away for free, but it's it doesn't matter whether it's money or y'all. Like it's the same. It's the resource. It's resourcing, right? So I'm moving from source, and then like a fountain, right? And then I help fill other people's cups, and then your cup is overflowing, and then we're just sitting around here like overflowing fountains. And some of it is information, some of it is money, some of it is just deep wisdom, some of it is just laughing together. um, and then now we're starting to like meet in person, all kinds of cool things. So what we might really talk about is resource, and is tapping into your source, and how when you've done that in your life, not only money but all kinds of cool things have come in. So I hope that makes sense. It's sort of a place to start, and that nobody falls out hearing that money isn't real. but it's really not. And that is the whole problem. That's why we will always have problems with money, because it doesn't exist. So what we're going to talk about is like the land of what exists, the embodied reality of like, what does this body actually want? And that is magic. That produces endless resource. If that makes sense. Cool. So Miriam, tell us what the blocks are. Tell us what your beliefs about money are. Tell us your little story here.
Well, I had to start working when I was very young. I didn't have a father. My mother was a widow with 4 kids, so I had to start working when I was like 13 years old. I had to buy my own clothes. I had to pay for my own food. We had to contribute to the household. We were 4 children, under the age of 6 when we came from Cuba to the United States. So I had to start working very early. But I never made a lot of money. I was always in debt because I like things. I like
Yes.
beautiful clothing because I like eating out. I like good food. I like the finer things in life. So I was always working, and then I got married. And
Mhm.
my former husband said, give me your bills." I didn't have that much. Um, he said, "Give me your bills. I'm paying everything off. You can do whatever you want. You can go back to school. You can stay home, and raise children, whatever it is that you want to do." And I said, "Okay, I'd love to do that," because I was tired. I was tired of having, by the time I met him, I think I was 29. And I was tired of like the grind that wasn't fulfilling. I remember I used to work in an office. I worked for 2 multinational companies, but I would get depressed. I'm like, this is not fulfilling work. This is not anything that like, and I didn't have the awareness back then even to really know what fulfillment was. I was
Yeah.
young. I was a young girl. It was basically we have to work. All of my friends, we were all working. We were all working girls from families that had multiple children and that had come from Cuba and had lost everything because we had upper middle class life in Cuba, but then we got here and we came with nothing except for suitcases. We lost
Yes.
everything. And
Yes.
then so my ex-husband totally spoiled me. Totally. Like I had no budget. No budget, basically.
Nice.
I was very conscientious. Yeah, no, it was
Yeah.
nice. I was very conscientious. Yeah, but till this day, it's like I'm still living kind of like that, but I don't have those resources anymore from him.
Yeah.
Um, I did get 10 years of alimony for 10 years I lived like the life of Riley, let's say.
Mhm.
So much fun. And I'm not the type, like he would say to me, the American Express, I handled all the bills. He handled all the investments. He would say to me, don't even check the bank account or the American Express, just maybe look over it and see if there's anything wrong on there. But like, don't even bother like doing all the, oh, can you see me still? It says my internet is unstable.
I can. It said it was unstable for a moment, but it never glitched. So
Yeah,
I
because
think you're
I
okay.
I didn't plug in the router. I permanently pulled out the router because I'm in a high rise where there's always Wi-Fi connection. So I'm like, I'm not going to plug in that router. It's in my bedroom. Anyway, so he would say, no, don't worry about balancing the. I had like terrible habits, like don't balance the checkbook. First, I would do it. By the time I had the third child, I barely had time to breathe. And so I wasn't balancing the checkbook. I wasn't looking at the American Express. Nothing. I was just like, and that's basically how I still live. It's like, oh, there's money in the bank, so I'll just pay this and I'll just buy that and I'll just do this. But I know you say money's not real, but I have spent so much money that I'm lashing myself. I was raised Catholic.
Ah,
I have
there it is.
spent
There's
so
the
much
belief.
money in my lifetime that I was like, oh my God, forgive me. Not frivolously, but I had
Yeah.
4 daughters. I remodeled one home when I was married. I built another home from scratch and went $500,000 over the budget. He never said anything. He never said anything to me about anything.
Good.
So I had a
Good man.
ball. I had a great time. But I
Yeah.
lived in this life that like nobody I knew had that kind of life,
Yeah.
and I walked away from it because it wasn't fulfilling. Even though I had all the material, I had the American dream,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
like typical classic book American dream, but I wasn't fulfilled
Yeah.
in here. So all the money in the world, all the jewelry, he gave me beautiful jewelry, beautiful homes. We went on vacations, 4 daughters in private school, but all of that didn't fulfill me. It didn't.
Yeah.
And he said I
Yeah.
was crazy. Like, how can you leave this lifestyle? I was like, lifestyle? That doesn't fulfill someone like
Mm.
me. It was
Mm.
beautiful while it was. It made life definitely easier,
Yes.
but it wasn't fulfilling.
Yes.
So I've been
Yes.
divorced for 20 years. I had alimony for 10 years, and I managed to stretch out my savings and things. And I'm like you, I will not do anything unless I love it.
Yeah.
I teach yoga, I teach nutrition. I'm not doing anything. I mean, I'd rather walk dogs than sit. in an office or have to do any type of like paperwork and typical job. That's just me. It kills my
Absolutely.
soul. I
Yep.
feel it. And I
Yep.
felt that since my 20s. So
Yeah.
here I am, 20 years out, divorced. I sold my home 2 years ago. I had a mold issue in my home. I had to sell it. I sold it at a loss. Um, and now I'm in this place. I'm 66 years old. You know, it's like when most people retire.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I need to, I have no interest in retiring, honestly. I'm fulfilled being around people, doing creative things, learning. And so, but I do have this block of like, I'm not a moneymaker because I never
Ah,
had to be
here's the story.
really.
Yeah.
So that's the story. My story is I'm not a moneymaker. I'm
Yeah.
a money magnet, or I have been in my past.
Yeah.
I haven't been a money magnet in a while because I basically put an X on all men, except for dysfunctional young ones who I end up mothering. But they don't have any resources. I just
Mhm.
become like a mother figure to them or a friend or the older woman. I don't know. So I have put the story on myself that I'm not capable, and I have a detachment. I think it's a healthy detachment. Like it's not all about money. I easily give it away. I invite people to dinner. I buy gifts. I'm very, very generous, and I've always been. That's
Yeah.
just I'm a giver. I'm not a
Yeah.
taker. I'm a giver.
Yeah.
And but at some point it's like I have to get practical because I'm a fairy in your
There's the story.
description. I'm a fairy, so
Yes.
I'm not grounded.
Fairies are the best spenders, the best shoppers.
Oh my
You
gosh,
don't
I'm the
never
best spender.
just moves right through. Yep. You need anything from the store, go send a fairy. Best shoppers ever. And they're and it's you were saying before we got on, right? Like for fairies and PS there's this whole elemental species. There's 6 elemental species. There's fairies, elves, hobbits, gnomes, dwarves, and humans. I think it's not next week, but the week after that, I'm just going to spend the whole week or most of the week, maybe 3 to 5 days, and just deliver all the information so everybody knows what it is. And then y'all can do everything with it. We'll have a common language and we'll be able to talk about it. It just hasn't been a priority, but it keeps coming up because it always comes up. And it's also really fun and very helpful. So fairies are often feel like, I mean, we all feel like we don't fit in this world because this world is insane. Right, where we are put into indoctrination programs to make money, and it's so hard to find fulfillment. What would we really want to do? Without money, it's like my interest is in envisioning the world. Like imagine the world is free and safe, and there's no such thing as money. What would you do? Where would you go? Who would you hang out with? How would you spend your day? And I find that if we really ask that question, if we allow ourselves to go there, every single human, every single one of us, there's no difference between work and play, and there would be no retirement because it wouldn't have been like I'm sacrificing my whole life to then retire. It's I'm always doing what's fulfilling. And but the school programming and all the other programming doesn't give you those opportunities. Like that's not whatever is true in your bones and how you would spend your days isn't on offer. What's on offer are, institutions that want to take your energy for hoarding resources instead of the natural redistribution of resources that's natural law. So so then we think of it all as money instead of let's just imagine what you would do that would forever resource you. And how do I want to say? The feminine, we've been talking about the sort of poles of feminine, right? We're all along the spectrum. But if you're on the feminine side, you aren't the money maker necessarily.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
Which,
I can do everything
which
else.
yes, you
Anything
do.
else.
Right? Yes,
I make
yes,
children, I make homes, I make food,
yes,
I put together parties, events, but I'm not,
yeah,
but I've never been a moneymaker. And
yeah.
frankly, I don't want to be. I don't want to
We don't
be.
want to be. We don't want to be. I don't either. As I've said, like I have a business. I don't want a business. I want to just do this all day, right? I don't want to have to worry about money and resource. That actually is the masculine's job. It doesn't have to be money. Please God, let it not be money soon. Let it just be like I would love somebody to just produce me, right? Like here's your equipment, here's the right setup, here's whatever, so I don't have to think about it, right? And I can just get on and talk to my friends and just be the resource, right? And because we are feminine is where everything funnels through, right? So we are the fountainheads, the oracles, the source. So resource coming from men goes into us and we resource everyone. That's the flow we were talking about yesterday, right? So the moneymaker, or the guy who just goes and gets the buffalo, right, and brings us the buffalo meat, provides it to the feminine, and we resource everyone. We mother everyone, we honor everyone, we gift to everyone. That's the gift economy. It's not an economy, it's just how life works. Look outside, that's how it goes. So so we are the magnet. And what magnetizes resource to you, whether it's money or anything else, is you being in your flow, you loving what you're doing, you resourcing yourself, which is what we've been doing with the healing, right? You as pure awareness, honoring the body, and you go teach yoga when you feel like teaching yoga, and you go teach nutrition when you feel like eat nutrition, right? And you come on the Natural Healing Radio Hour and share all of your knowledge, and then get some paid subscribers or whatever it is. But that is like why everything's so backward, is that nothing's going, it's all going, like I've said, like the flow is wrong, right? It's going from the feminine to the masculine, and that's like planting seeds in the air. It can't resource, it just dies on the vine. And that's what we have billionaires hoarding resource, which doesn't even really exist. And it's all just dying on the vine. And if we're going to pretend that money is real, what we need is to funnel it back the other way. So your job in making money is really just honoring your being. We don't, as I've been saying, we don't sabotage ourselves. Meaning, like, so we have to look at the I love this move, the flagellation, right? So we have women have learned. So we be the vibe holder, as Vasti says, exactly. And fairies and elves, you are vibe holders. Hobbits, we get our hands dirty, like we get in there, but you guys, fairies just bring the fun. It's just like you just bring the fun, and that is, I mean, which is just your being. You're just being you. It's literally just being you, being your full self is all that. That's the only sanity, and that's the only thing that resources everything, right? So you're not going to make money. You're just going to honor your flow, and then watch how that magnetizes flow toward you, and masculine flow to you, right? That everybody, like, that's what's happening here, right? People are just coming. I'm not calling folks. I'm not recruiting Randolph for you. I'm just, people are coming because there's this natural magnetizing, right? The river is flowing that way, and it'll just feed you, and it'll just feed you. So, right, so you come on here, teach your stuff, and somebody subscribes, and here comes the money, and here comes the resource, and the attention, and the extra support or help. So let's talk about this flagellation. Is that story? There are many stories. There's a story of money, which doesn't exist. There's a story, all these stories that we all live in. The main story is this zero sum story, right? Where and that's what we have about money. So if I spend some money, somebody loses, right? Oh no, I spent all of that. Now we don't have anything, right? When when that's like, again, if you look into natural law and anything, like it's like there's an endless river flow. Imagine a rushing river, right? And it's like you can never drink all that water. So to take another gallon, to take 10 gallons, because you're creating a bath or whatever, there is no, you're not taking away. Um, there's an endless flow of life. It doesn't ever stop. Life resources itself and actually is in constant expansion. So it's more so that there's not buckets, right? There's no point at which the river flow of life stops. So if you go, well, I had this much money in the bank, again, made up, and then I spent it, and then now I don't have any, and I should sacrifice and compromise and whip myself, and this is a problem because there's only so much. But meanwhile, there's there's no stopper there. There's no actual stopper. Resource is meant to keep flowing through you. So the only thing stopping the resource continuing to flow through you is the idea that I'm not a moneymaker and that I shouldn't spend this money. Which is not to like then be like checked out of reality and like put yourself in poverty. But like I was saying, life doesn't do that. We don't sabotage ourselves. You're not going to make yourself homeless. You won't do it. You just can't do it. You couldn't physically sabotage yourself if you tried. But that's the story we've been indoctrinated with. Right? We can't be trusted. Our body can't be trusted. We can trust, the bankers, the politicians, and everybody else. So let's just play with. So let's look and see what is the belief. It's like that I'll sabotage myself, that I'm bad for spending money, that there's only so much. Like any of the ones I just mentioned ring a bell, or something else.
No, I don't feel bad for spending money because I was spending money on I gave my four daughters a life that I never had.
Great.
Private all girls Catholic school, amazing after school activities, anything they wanted to do, trips, beautiful clothing, because I wanted to. I wanted to give that to them. I don't feel bad about that. I have I guess I have a mindset of abundance. I've had it since I was a teenager.
Yeah.
My best friend and I would drive around Miami and look at like the most beautiful neighborhoods and say, we're going to live like that. And we both ended up living like that. Like,
Yes.
I'm not going to say we manifested it. I would just say maybe that was a desire in my
saw.
heart, or
You
it was
see it.
already, yeah, and it happened for both of us.
Yes, women
Um,
are the seers as well. We just see what's true. So when I'm saying like I see a moneyless society, like I see us all free in a village, like I see it. I actually see it. So anyway, yes, you see your future.
Now I just
And
wonder
there's
how I'm gonna keep up this kind of lifestyle that I've kept up for the past 10
okay.
years
Yeah.
when I haven't received alimony. I have savings. I sold my home. One of my
Yeah.
daughters said to me, "How do you still even have any money?"
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
How
like,
do
I'm
you?
pretty good. I mean, I don't go crazy.
Yeah.
Um, I'm pretty good, but I do have high standards. I love really good food.
Yeah.
And that's basically what I spend. And I like to live in a nice place. So that's basically what I spend my money on. And I'm very generous with everybody. So
Okay, great.
it's an outpouring. And I haven't charged people. Like my daughter would say, are you charging people for that, Mom? Is
Yeah.
someone paying you for that when I've been doing my functional nutrition? Because there was a lot of people who basically just wanted my information for free, and so I gave it away for free.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm doing the teaching to the doctors. I'm not getting paid for that. That is
Okay.
like a dream come true for me.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
get paid to teach them yoga, but it's minimal,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
minimal, like not even to cover the gas for a month because I love doing it. So it
Yeah.
feels like a mission. I don't do anything that doesn't feel like a mission. I can't do that anymore.
Okay, great.
Since I stopped working at age 29, I think I was, when I
Yeah.
was pregnant with my first daughter, I stopped working. It's like I could never do that again. Like I'd rather walk a dog, clean anything else.
Yep. I'm with you
I'm not
100%.
going to be a corporate robot. I can't do that. I
Great.
have to do
Okay.
things I love for as long as I live, whatever
Yeah.
that is.
Yeah, exactly. And no retirement. You just keep doing what you love. Okay, great. So what's the story that flagellates?
Because
Like
I
I
spent
shouldn't work.
so much money. I don't even,
Okay.
I can't even add it up
Okay. Okay.
in the past 20 years. You know, when
Okay.
I look at my
Oh, I
American
gotcha,
Express,
gotcha.
I'm
So
like, oh my God.
it's guilt. It's guilt for having for what you have spent.
No, it's not really guilt. It's just like awareness of, my God, did you spend a lot of money?
Okay. Okay.
And I wasn't
Okay.
buying designer things or anything crazy. It was so much output, but there was so much abundance also.
Yes.
It
Yes.
was like
Well,
never
that's how the
ending
fountain.
fountain.
That's the fountain.
It
Like
was never ending
it's a
when I was
never-ending
married,
fountain,
never
right?
ending.
So what you were tapped into is reality. But we can't, when it's like that can't be real, right? Because we have the scarcity mentality. It's like that's a problem. That's definitely a problem. No, that's
But I don't
that's
think I have the scarcity mentality. I have the abundance mentality,
you
like the
do.
reverse of
Yeah.
that.
The
I
good news
do.
about it's not even a mentality. Um, Jeremy says there's regret, but maybe it's amazement. Yes, it's amazement. It's
It
like
is
it's
amazement.
it's amazement. And I'm just saying like don't staple a story on there. You're tapped into natural law, and you are tapped into natural law now, right? So we take these old stories and we look at it through that lens, and it's like this there must be a problem somewhere. But it wasn't a problem, and it isn't a problem. You are more than fine now. And also, you have these passionate streams that will continue to create a fountain of resource, whether it's money or something else. Meaning, like right here, I'm asking you, come on to this, teach your functional medicine, get some subscribers, right? Let's have fun again together.
I don't want
And
to charge for subscribers, though. That's another problem. I had two
I don't
people
either. I give it away
offer to
for
pay me,
free.
and I'm like, no, no, I'm not a real writer. I'm not a real writer. I'm just doing this for fun. I just write like life
Okay,
stories.
right.
I don't want to get
So
paid.
right there is a little bit of a like that it's bad. Like so we're still in money, right? We still are in that paradigm. So
Yes.
this idea that like money. that you shouldn't charge, it's like, well, that's currently our measure of value. It's completely
That's
skewed and
my
crazy.
MO.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
right.
my MO. So I don't have that measure of value. There it is.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay, there it is.
Bottom
Yes.
line.
And is that true? Is what you offer, does it not have value in this marketplace?
It does.
It does. You actually know very well how much value it is. Isn't it way more valuable than a typical doctor's visit?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. I would say at least 10 times, probably more like 50 times more valuable.
No, I have people that have been to so many doctors and never got results, and then they came to me. And I don't know if it's because I'm so everybody, my clients to me are like my children, my friends, whatever. They're not like clients, and I will bend over
Me too.
backwards and go to the end of the world to help them.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Me too, right? I call them all my friends because they're my friends. That's the clients. This is why it's anti-therapy. Exactly. Nevertheless, we're still in money. We're moving away from it. But let's go, like I used to work in integrative health, so I know the difference. I know traditional doctors and functional medicine docs. And when somebody like you who's really free from the system and didn't come up through the system, that's gold. So most doctors make, let's say, $200 an hour. Let's imagine that really the value is like $1,000 an hour at least in the marketplace. Like the value at least, right? Probably more like $2,000 an hour if we have to use that. So
But I'm not a
if the
doctor. I'm a functional practitioner. I'm a functional nutritionist. I'm not a doctor.
I don't care. You and I know the doctors, right? Like I just hired Vasvi, hired, she's 20 years
Right.
old. She's right, no training. I have a doctorate in clinical psychology. I'm like trash. I don't want to talk to people who came through the system. I don't care. I don't care. So I mean, there's value in that I can speak to it, right? I can say I'm like I can vouch for what's good and what isn't. Um, so so compared to a doctor who makes $200 an hour, the information, the knowledge, the wisdom you are offering is way, way, way more. So
Well, I charge 250 for my first appointment, and then
great.
125. I just haven't been actively doing that. I've been mostly teaching yoga, and then I have private students who I charge $90 an hour for to teach yoga. And I'm like, I can't believe they're paying me this
Yeah, of course
because
they
it's so
are.
fun for me, and I love doing it. That's where it's like, and I've been teaching them now for 2 years. These private clients of mine, I'm like, I'm in shock. I'm like, what? They're paying me $90 an hour when some of my
Right.
teachers charge 150 an hour for yoga. I go to
Yes.
their house. I stay there longer. I take them incense. I use essential oils. I do all these things with them. I'm still in shock that they're paying me that much, and it's not that much for Miami. It really isn't. It's just I
Yeah.
wasn't used to that because I was a stay-at-home mother for 20 years,
Yeah.
and no one pays for that. No one values that. And my ex-husband used to say I could never do all the things you do, like run 2 households, 4 children, all the doctors, everything, after school activities. I ran everything, including dressing him, dressing his health, dressing everybody, and then taking care of my mother, and then driving my grandmother around. So I had like all these hats. And he
Yes.
said I could never do what you did, but when he would say something like, "What do you want for your anniversary?" I'm like, "Well, what do you think I'm worth?" That's what I would say to him.
This is
What
it.
do you think I'm
This is
worth?
it. Uh,
What is
well,
it worth to you? All the things
this
that
is
I
it.
do.
Yes. Well, this is the trouble with basically the enslavement of women, is that our labor, right, is not valued, and meanwhile your husband got it. It is 10 times, 20 times, 50 times more valuable, right? It's you are the level of organization, the level of clarity, the level of fun, the level of um wisdom that you offered your children and that household. You ran the ship. And I've said this so many times, like, again, women are meant to lead. But all the friends I have who are at that C-suite level, whenever they ran circles around the men, and the men know it. The men know it, and they're
No, he
pretending
let
they
me
don't know.
lead, which was great. He knew
Yeah.
it because his mother was like that with his father. His father was a PhD in history and the chancellor of UNC during the Vietnam War. And his mother stayed home with her apron on, but she ran the show. She ran his life. She ran everything. And he would just come home and say, what time do I need to be home from golf? Or, what tie should I wear? Or whatever. She ran everything. And so he saw that in his family, and he just let me run everything because he had no interest.
Yeah, yeah,
Zero
yeah.
interest. I even
Of
built a
course.
house from scratch. He's like, "You want a house? Build it. I'm not interested in that."
Yes.
So I even
Yes.
did that while I was pregnant with my third child. I built a big family home. I helped design it. I decorated. I did like
This is
I'm
why
telling
women
you
are
right now.
like, women are just, I mean,
And I
we're
loved
just
it. I
magic.
loved
Men are
it
magic
because
too.
like,
Yes.
give me things to do and I will do them. And the more I
Yes.
had to do, it was like, it was fine.
Yes, it just
And
flows,
he,
right? And then that resource, like the amount that you resource through even a little bit of resource, right? But then you had all this resource, you just, everything around you flourishes because that's how it's meant to be, right? But we were just missing the depth of the physical and emotional connection. But that's okay. But you've lived a life where you can see how it's not that you're a money maker, right? Like the limiting beliefs we can see through. You you amplify. Women were sometimes called like the multipliers and the amplifiers,
right.
right? So you give you a little, and it's like you make the world. We make the world. We literally do. So and so let's just see if there's any block left then about like charging. So one idea is you, let's say, come teach on here functional medicine. I don't make people subscribe either, right? It's free, but people offer a gift, right? Because and people can see, oh, there's a lot of value there. I want that woman to keep resourcing us, right? So you offer your functional medicine stuff. I would subscribe. So and then the idea, where the bigger idea here is this new PBS, right, where we're all linked up, and you're offering and I'm offering, right, there's just a flow of production of energy, of resource, of money, and until and when we don't need it. So when we don't need it, it's just a matter of time. So we you actually already have like the marketplace comparisons, right? What you offer relative to these other yoga teachers and other functional medicine docs and Western regular docs, right? And we just need to be honest. We just need to tell the truth, right? I charge $500 an hour, but like I haven't found, my friend I'm like, you know, again, it's so not about the money, right? I'm with you. But here we are still in that system. But it's like, find me a better coach, find me a better one, because I've been there, and I looked at everybody. And so what would be the value? It's really more like 1,000, 2,000 an hour. But I can't do that. I wouldn't, who cares? Nobody can afford that. That's just silly. But that's true. Like if we look at the marketplace, right? I know like all these other coaches who are charging like that, right? They hide it in a course so it doesn't look like you're charging that much. Um, so the reality, so we have to look at reality, right? So in the current marketplace, let's be really, really honest with each other. What is the value of an hour of your wisdom?
It depends on how sick the person is, but this is a block that I do have. I don't want to do marketing. I want everything to happen organically. So everyone who has come to me has come word of mouth. And I haven't had that many people. I have had great resolution. I have great testimonies on my testimonials on my website, but I don't want to market. I refuse to do Facebook marketing. I refuse to do Instagram marketing because they were all censoring me during the pandemic. So I'm like super stubborn. My daughter said, "Mom, you have to." I got also a pregnancy health coaching certification from Dr. Sears, and I did prenatal yoga and postnatal yoga trainings. Also, I have all these trainings, hundreds of trainings. And then I'm like, she's like, "Mom, put it on Instagram." I'm like, "No, I refuse. I'm not putting a business on Instagram. I don't want to be part of that paradigm. They were censoring. It's all owned by Facebook, but basically the government. I don't. I refuse to do that." And so she's like, "Well, look, you're not getting the business." I had one client in the pregnancy health coaching, which was, she was a psychologist actually,
Yeah.
and she was lovely. She worked in a hospital, in a pediatric hospital, and no, her husband worked in a pediatric hospital. But I loved her, and she would pay me double what I would charge her, because she's like,
Yes,
"Oh,
I would
like you're so
too.
loving, you're so caring." And I was like, "No, I can't accept this from you. You just had a child, and you have to buy a home, and you have all." They were both psychologists. And she would pay me double. It's like, no, I can't accept that.
Well,
Just
we got
let's
we
just
we
leave it.
got right. So, but this is it, right? Like there's that bucket thing that if I take, somebody else loses. It's not true. What how we were talking about the energy flow and we're reversing the flow, right? So you and I right now we're reversing the flow. There's 51 people here, right? They're very tuned in. They want to
Are there
know.
actually 51 or
Randall.
there's 14 people? 14
Okay.
people now. Because
Okay.
there's current viewers, yeah,
Oh, I see
there's
51. Oh,
14
okay,
still
current views.
on
Okay,
here.
great. Okay, maybe they came in with. Randolph is saying, "What is the spectrum of care offered in functional medicine?" New term for me.
Well, it's functional nutrition, what I teach, which is an offshoot of functional medicine. Oh my gosh, it's It's basically everything. I just presented to these MDs and they're like in shock. And I thought they were gonna fire me, but I just sent the head doctor another handout to give out. And they were asking me, do you have handouts on your website? The doctors, these resident doctors, they've already finished medical school. They're just figuring out their specialties. And some of them were asking me health advice. I was like, whoa, this is cool. And I just sat there and talked for an hour and a half organically. They let me say everything I wanted. I didn't hold back at all. So I said a lot of things that the doctor in the back was like, oh, no, 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 you can't say those things. Like I said, nobody can be healthy on a pharmaceutical because it depletes you of vitamins and minerals. And they looked at me, she's like, but this is what they do. And I said, yeah, well, there's a pharmacist who wrote a book. There's actually two pharmacists who wrote books. One is called Drug Muggers. All the pharmaceuticals, what they deplete your body of, and then what happens to you. Like statins, the most dangerous drug in the market. She was like, no, 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 you can't say that. You can't say. I thought she was going to have a heart attack. And she's like 30 years old. She was in the back of the room saying, Miriam, we're not that far apart. We're so far apart. We really are so
Yes.
far apart. I can't lie to them. The medical system killed my grandfather, who was an orthopedic surgeon. They gave him the wrong blood type, destroyed my mother's health, had her on electric shock therapy, temazepam, Klonopin, like a dozen drugs, destroyed her life. I saw this. I witnessed this. And then I saw my grandmother, who never took one drug, no pap smears, no mammograms, no diagnostics, no antibiotics, no flu shots. She lived till 99 and a half, vibrantly. I told them all that. And they're in a state of shock, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I just ruined their career. Some of
Good.
them might have like $500,000 worth of debt, though. I came
know,
home
I
and I
know.
said, and they could be my children, and they've been lied to about everything.
Yes.
So I don't know where this is going to go. Maybe I'll be helping a few of them. I volunteered to help them without charging them, just so
Okay.
that they could see what the difference is. So I don't know if they're going to take me up on that or not.
Right, right,
But
right.
it's just heartbreaking to
I know.
see the training, and they have no idea of what's out there. I talked to them about Ayurveda, traditional Chinese medicine, herbal medicine, homeopathy, all the things I've studied. They
Yeah.
were in shock.
Yes. Yes. I
And
know. They
but
get
but but that
2
and
hours
it's a
of
private hospital.
nutrition
They're not
and
there yet.
yeah.
They're not.
No.
It's a private hospital. They're not the area. The lead doctor is amazing. She's very holistic. She's on the board of the Zen Center in New York City. Super holistic. She's the one that makes them take yoga every week. There's 5 groups of residents that I teach to. It would be great. Oh, okay. It would be great. This is what I want. I want to work with them. And I said to them, I think it's in Congress. I don't look up to my mentors anymore because they all fell for the pandemic. All of them were pushing the shots. I'm like, I don't respect you anymore. I don't respect any of them. Yale doctor, Harvard trained doctors,
Me
none
too.
of them. I don't respect any of them anymore. I lost respect for them.
Yep.
So I'm kind of like standing on my own because I no longer respect them. But we were trying to get functional nutrition practitioners to be able to work with doctors in the system to do like all the backup work for them. Except that then if we do up all the backup work, they're not going to be able to prescribe drugs because that's the antithesis of what we do. We find the root cause of why people are sick, which could be a dozen different things. Childhood trauma, lack of community, lack of hydration, not sleeping enough, eating inflammatory foods, structural issues, environmental issues. There's this huge matrix of all the things that can contribute to illness that the doctors have 10 minutes. They told me, we have 10 minutes. What can we tell our patients? I'm like, well, tell them that food is information for their cells, and there's a lot that they can do because they don't believe them. Plus, the hospitals feed them garbage when they're in the hospital. So, I mean, the whole system has to fall apart. You
The
know
whole
that.
system has to fall
And,
apart.
and the whole system has to be rebuilt. And I'm hoping that maybe I can be part of that rebuilding and actually work with the doctors because I would love to see people get well. And I
Yes.
know they're never going to get well. And I'm sorry if there's any doctors on here, but they're never going to get well having their body parts cut out or on pharmaceutical drugs.
No.
Nobody heals that way.
No, no, no. And the whole medical field was planned from the Rockefellers and the Carnegies and the robber barons who
Yes.
were like, how do we make money from
Right.
healthcare?
Yeah.
And then they bought up the
Yeah.
they bought up the AMA, they bought up the medical school boards, and everything became patent-based medicine so that there was a way to make money. And they're again stealing Mother Nature, stealing from the feminine and selling it back to us. And it can't work, and it's totally insane and utterly backward. Pharmaceuticals, big pharma is bigger than big
But
oil. It's the biggest thing in the world.
yeah,
Yeah.
but the majority of people in the world are still tied into that paradigm.
Yes.
They haven't figured out. When I talk about traditional medicine, like, listen, I said to them in this talk, 125 years ago, this medicine you're in is 125 years old, basically.
Yeah.
Before that, how do you think everybody survived? It was traditional medicine. It was the herbalist. How did they figure stuff out? They tried things from the in the ground. Everything was from Mother Nature. I told them that the pharmaceuticals are not biocompatible with us. We're biocompatible with homeopathy, with herbs, with plant medicines. We're not biocompatible. None of us are. They looked at me like I had three heads because this is all they've learned. And
Yes.
so
Yes.
I would love to be part of that. I don't know if there's any money in that because you'd have to have a hospital who totally flipped
Yes.
and
Yes.
started to actually heal people, and there's no money in that.
Yep. Well, this is it. This is why we gotta get back to the money thing. But while we're in the paradigm, and just because what's happening now is people are desperate to heal, right? They tried everything else, and so and people with money. So point being that it's this I'm seeing, right, this reversal of the flow, right? So all it's like they have 10 minutes and they get charged the insurance company, it's all funneled up and the hospital makes this money. But if you come in there and you have a little program and you get some of that hospital money coming your way and it works and somebody heals, and I know they do, right? Like we know it works.
Yeah.
um the flow starts to reverse, and you charge, for that person who has money, who has cancer, who's looking for anything or whatever. You're at 250 an hour, 350 an hour, whatever, to just start to pull, just to reverse that flow of the resource back to you. It's inevitable. It's inevitable because you're teaching according to natural law. You are an actual healer. You have you can you can show them, right? Like this is what we're doing here, right? It's like, well, here, let me just show you what happens when you don't believe your thought and you come in and heal that piece in your body. Show you what happens when you listen to your body about what you want to eat and eat whole foods.
That's
you know
basically what I tell them.
that's it. Yeah.
But here's
And
the thing. Okay, so we're not covered by insurance. If we were covered by insurance, and this is what these poor doctors, they're not making a lot of money as residents.
no.
They're like, you know who makes the money? The head doctor actually made an Instagram post, said, you know who's making the money? The CEO of the hospital, the CEO of the insurance
Yep.
company, and the CEO of the pharmaceutical industry. Those are the ones that are making the money. They're not making the money.
Yep.
And they are driving them into the ground with how many patients they have, with how many hours they work. It's really sad.
It's
It's really sad.
impossible.
I came home and I was like, oh my gosh, I wonder how many bubbles I burst by saying these things because they were staring at me. That was just the first group. They were staring at me like
Yes.
what if what she says is true? Like
Here's the
what is
vision
all
I
these
have.
8 years that we've spent 8 years in pre-med and
They
medical
know.
school?
They know. We have to
I
start
don't think
admitting
they
it.
know. I don't
Well,
think they know.
some you're right. You're right. Many don't. Some
I'm
do.
planting a seed. I'm planting a
Yes.
seed, but I think I have shocked them.
We
Shocked them.
definitely are going to shock them. Every institution is failing because it isn't based on natural law. It's based on a lie. um the separation from nature, separation from God. Even the Zen centers are like, y'all are selling God. And I'm not into it. And we don't need some special place with some special man who's been sitting on a fucking pad his whole life. He's not better than you. you
I
know
don't have any gurus. I don't. My
no
grandmother was my
gurus.
guru. My grandmother
No.
was my love. My two grandmothers were my gurus. They taught me everything that I ever needed to know in life.
Yes.
Yeah.
So here's what I see. Here's what I see is this new PBS idea, right? Is that basically you have your own show and you just come on once a week and you share, and it's free. And then you're re-educating because there are many doctors. I know I worked in functional medicine, I worked in integrative health.
Oh.
They were brokenhearted, they were in debt. There's these I don't remember the person. I helped my friend who was like $500,000 in debt. It's like save half of her money. There's ways to get around this debt, but we'll see. um anyway, point being that there's many of them have the heart of a healer, and
They
they don't
do. This
they
whole
just don't
group does.
have an educator.
This whole
Yeah.
group does because the
Yes.
doctor said to me,
Yes.
"These I've never seen more altruistic because she's the leader. This woman, this she's from Puerto Rico. She's a mom also. She's changed so many things in that hospital. She got a nursing room for when the doctors were having babies, and then they could nurse. And then she had a whole nursery there for them, so the babies could be at work with the. She's an amazing woman. Where was I going? I lost my train of thought. But oh well, yeah, she said to me, they're all altruistic. I love these doctors. They are so sweet. And they thought I was just a yoga teacher. So all I've done up to now is teach yoga, and then they're like, what? She actually knows some stuff, because I wasn't throwing out things to impress them, but I said, single nucleotide polymorphism, autophagy, all these things. And I've studied integrative oncology too with a doctor of Oriental medicine. I just did a training, but I know more than the ones that are going into oncology, because all they're learning is radiation and chemotherapy,
Yes,
which is like
yes,
basically what kills people, unless,
yes.
I don't know. But even everything I've studied, Megan, I want to study German new medicine. Do you know about that?
I've heard a little bit. You've
Oh,
been
that's
telling
what
me about.
that and quantum healing. And then that throws everything else out the window. Because my
That's right.
grandmother, for example, didn't eat a perfect diet. She had an ancestral diet. She was super spiritually aligned, had a purpose in life, her whole family. She never got sick, never took an antibiotic, never had a flu shot, nothing. Vibrant woman. But she lived in this spiritual space of, like, she was a fairy for sure. She was a Pisces also. Total fairy, little tiny petite thing. She never got sick. She had
Yes, yes.
purpose, she had love, she was full of love, she was full of, her purpose was to take care of the family and make sure the family was fine. And so she lived super happy. So I'm like, well, it didn't matter what she ate. She loved sugar. She was
Yeah.
like, I don't feel like eating. I'm
Fairy.
just gonna have a cafe au lait and a dessert. Like she wouldn't, but
That's
she
fairy life right there. Yes, yes.
systemically underate. She was never overweight. She was tiny always. But
Yeah.
then, like, people are like, so my Italian friend said, so then what does that say? I'm like, it says that when you're in a really good place, when you're really happy, like the cells are happy, you don't get sick.
Nope.
When I'm
Nope.
happy, I
Nope.
don't get sick.
That flow is just there. Absolutely. You're
Yeah, the
just
flow.
channeling goddess all day long.
So like I feel like a imposters, that imposter syndrome, even teaching about nutrition, because that's not the most important thing. The most important thing is to have a heart filled with love, to be surrounded by community, to be surrounded by people that love you and that care about you, and to feel free, basically, to not,
Yes.
to like be yourself. And I think
Which
that's when people
is
get
why we go
healthy.
together so well, right? Because
Yes.
I'm waking up from the thought and embodiment, right? And like, here's God, here's oneness. And then you're like, okay, here are the options for your body. What feels good? And P.S. The elemental species tie right in here because they all eat a little different. And fairies can absolutely just have a juice and a croissant and be great. Whereas that would, I need pasta.
Yeah, well, there are
That's
people
just
that eat terribly, and so there are
yes.
improvements that can be made.
Sure.
But if you see our matrix, when I come on here as a guest, if you see our matrix, because I will show you the handouts, maybe I'll even put them in a link to the handouts, which I'm not
Okay.
supposed to do. I don't care. I'm
I
breaking
don't
all the
care. This
rules.
is it. We're
I don't
giving
care.
everything away. Yes,
I don't care.
yes, yes.
I'm breaking the rules. I'm not supposed to be teaching doctors. I'm not supposed to be teaching anybody but clients. I don't care. I pay
I'm
for all
breaking
my
the rules
training.
too.
I pay for all my trainings. I pay for
Yes.
them. I'm going to do whatever I want. Take me to jail. Take me to
Yeah,
jail. My
exactly.
ex-husband's a lawyer.
Perfect.
And my
We're gonna be
daughter's a
there for both
lawyer
of
in
us.
New York. Okay, so my daughter in New York makes a ton of money. A
Yes.
ton. She's in her
Yep.
masculine for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
A ton of money. But she studied law, and that pays a lot. The
Great.
other ones are
Great.
not
You're
making.
set.
The other one, no, I'm not set, because she spends everything she makes. She's
She
moving to
said,
Greenwich Village now. She spends everything.
you're set
She's
anyway. You're set anyway. You have incredibly valuable information. It's all great.
um
And it's just your passion. You want to give it away. And this then, right? So I'm providing a path for like folks who want to do my kind of healing, right? And you provide a path. And it's like Vasvi was gonna go be a therapist, but now she just gets to do this. Same thing with the doctors who are on here, and there are some. It's like, here's a path. You don't have to go back into debt. You don't have to, you can train with a woman who can teach you very easily. It's actually not, it doesn't, we certainly don't need 8 years of schooling.
No, at all. No, at
Not at
all. They were
all.
asking me, can we have more handouts? Can we have more handouts? Because they had never heard of anything that I talked to them about, just like a food, mood, and poop journal, so that you know which foods which do not agree with you. Like, do they make you sleepy? Are you gassy? Are you burping? Or, are you moody? You're not getting enough protein, And I told them it's basically fat, fiber, and protein is our mantra. They're all writing that down. Fat, fiber, and protein. Listen to these doctors who have spent so much money, who are all in these specialties, and they don't know any of the basics, really the basics of
Yes.
nutrition, of health, of everything. I told them also, some people come to you just because they don't have anything to do in their life. The seniors, they like to go from doctor to doctor. That's their social life. My mother did that. And
Yes.
all you need to do is listen to them, and you
Yes.
heal them. All you do
Yes.
is need to listen to them, to be there, maybe hold their hand, maybe even touch their arm. That's it.
That's it. That's it.
That's it.
Exactly. exactly, exactly. And
Healing
then
is,
help them
yeah,
feel their body, listen to their body, and the body will always guide them to eat and do whatever is most
yeah,
fulfilling
that's what I
for her.
teach. I teach
That's it.
intuitive eating basically.
Yeah.
Listen to your body. Listen, and you can mess up once in a while. You can just say, whatever. Today I feel like having this gluten croissant or whatever, and then you deal with the next day feeling a little achy and feeling a little sore, and then you start to notice a difference. But it's all tracking, and then listen to the body. Because of course what they do is they cover up all the symptoms. One said to me, "What's the difference between taking supplements?" Because I said, "Look, I have muscles. I'm 66 and I have muscles. I take
Nice.
creatine every day. I take amino acids every day." And they're like, "Oh, but what's the difference between that and a pharmaceutical that's an isolated compound?" I'm like, "No, this is supporting my system, and your pharmaceuticals are depleting people of their things." And I didn't even say, I'm going to say this Friday, I'm going to say, you're basically suppressing symptoms. If you suppress symptoms, people are never going to get better. But then imagine that. If they really understand that, there goes
Yeah.
their whole career. There goes
There
the
goes
whole
the
career.
there goes
Because
the
all they're
career.
doing
This
is
is what I'm
medicating,
up against. Yes.
cutting out body parts. Cutting out
Yep.
body parts are medicating. And like I said to
Yep.
you, three of my daughters went to, no, all four of them have been to therapy. Horrible advice.
Horrible
One
advice.
ended
The
up
therapists are worse.
in this horrible place in Utah that was like a jail that we were paying, I don't know, like $80,000 a year for because she was self harming. And then the therapist said she needs to go there. It was a nightmare.
Awful.
She's now in a class action lawsuit against that place where
Good.
my ex husband basically sent her because it was such a nightmare, the place. And then
Yep.
the other
Yep.
two,
Shut those things
she
down.
was put on meds. The other one was put on meds. I'm like, that's not going to resolve anything. And it didn't resolve anything. And then the one in New York has spent a fortune on therapists, and she's still in the same place. So,
Yep.
like, how much can you talk about the same thing over and over again? That's
Exactly.
why I love
Exactly.
your approach because
Yes.
you have to embody it. There has to
Yep.
be meditation. There has to be a awareness of what's going on in your life. You just can't talk and talk and talk. That's why it never worked
No.
for me. Oh, postpartum. I was feeling terrible. My hormones were going down. After I had my third child, I was 38 years old. And I go to my naturopath, and she's like, "Oh, I'm going to send you to a therapist." The therapist gives me a workbook. I had biological stuff going on. My progesterone was on the floor. They send me to the therapist, goes, "You have a lot of work to do." I'm like, "What?
Oh.
What?
Ugh, ugh, ugh. Oh,
Here's
when
your
all they have
workbook."
a hammer is all they see is nails.
And
Yeah.
I said, "That's it. No, this doesn't work for me." And
Yeah.
so I just, the whole system never, and I saw my mother go to a psychiatrist for years. All they did was medicate her. She would have like 10-minute appointments.
Yep.
And then they
Yep.
would charge the insurance $350. I'm like, that doesn't work.
No, no. Total and complete insanity. Yep. Yep. So we are, it's anti-therapy, it's anti-Western medicine. It's like we're done. We're done. And then
When did you
here's the
realize that? When did you realize it?
um it's been a progressive thing. I found like I never really got therapy I so even in school I was like, where's the wise ones, where are the truth tellers, where's actual truth, and the whole sort of medical paradigm, right? Because it's the same as the medical industry. It's like you have a disease and we're going to treat it with the chemistry,
Yeah,
and it's
what's
all
that called?
very
The
isolated.
DD, that whole manual that tells people
The DSM, yeah,
everything wrong with
exactly.
them.
Everything's wrong. I refused to diagnose people. I only ever gave everybody what's called an adjustment disorder, because I was like, the location isn't in them. If they've been traumatized, if they've been hurt, if they've been abused, if they've been told all this insanity and they believed it, this is not a chemical problem. This is a conditioning issue. And so their body, their being is adjusting to the thing. And that's where the actual problem is located, which is not to say that we have to take 100% responsibility for ourselves. We cannot, it's just a mirror. So we have to wake up from the thoughts, we have to heal the body, and then we're just going to make a whole new world. But yeah, the paradigm was so crazy, and everything was processing, right? So you're going to process thoughts, you're going to learn the family system dynamic, and it's like, okay, but when are we going to actually, they don't know anything about fulfillment, they don't know anything about a fulfilled life, because it's all problem focused. And so there's two hallucinations in that. One is that there's a separate self in there that's hurt, that's damaged, or that is diseased. There is no separate self. And then secondly, that they have all these problems that are stuck on that self, right? The self is depressed, the self is anxious, the self is traumatized. And meanwhile, the only thing that's going on is there's a kind of glitch brought to you by the matrix, that there's something fundamentally wrong with me, or I'm not good enough, or I'm not lovable, or I'm bad, or whatever. That belief sprouts all these other beliefs, it can be seen from awareness. So that was the main thing. It was like, once I found non-duality, where we're utilizing awareness to look at the mind, not trying to use the mind to get out of the mind. It's not going to be a possibility. So
I
anyway,
actually
so then
said,
yeah, so
no,
I
I actually
found
said to the
intuition.
doctors, I've
Yeah,
seen diagnoses become a death sentence. They were like,
they're
what?
death sentence.
Yeah, I said, it's a death
100%.
sentence.
It's a
My
death sentence.
neighbor, when I was raising my children, the father was diagnosed with cancer, and they said, you have 10 months to live. He died. 10 months.
Yep.
10 months. I was helping take care of the kids. He died. He believed it. And
Yes.
then the doctor said, well, we have to give a diagnosis. That's the only way. But they don't have to give a death sentence to a person. I was telling
No.
my younger daughter, this is ridiculous. She goes, well, they have to say something. No, they don't. They
No,
can
they
say,
don't.
we don't know. We don't
Exactly.
know.
Tell the
Anything can
truth.
happen.
That's right.
They,
That's
and
right.
they said, well, the only way we get paid is if we write a diagnosis. Fine, write your diagnosis to the insurance company. Don't tell people they're going to die. That's a
Exactly.
death sentence in my view, because people
Absolutely.
believe that, and I've seen it happen. So I even said that to them.
Yeah.
I'm still being,
Good
I'm
for
still
you.
gonna. I'm like, I'm amazed. They're not gonna. Someone's gonna take a contract on me, or
I've had the same thought. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I'm
whatever,
like,
whatever.
should I get
I
it
don't care.
done?
I'll
Yeah,
come
yeah,
back. I'll come
yeah,
back for
exactly.
whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this is it. I'm like, the problem is I'm not afraid of death
I'm not either. I'm not either. That's why during this
because I
thing,
know
I'm
I
like,
don't
I don't
die.
care. I'm going out with a bang. I'm having so much fun. I'm living my
Exactly.
life fully every day. If they drop a bomb tomorrow, I had a lot of fun. I'm not worried
Exactly.
about it. I'm not worried about it.
Full fairy life. Exactly. Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
full
So
fairy life. Yeah, I'm so
yeah.
glad it took me this long. I'm 66 to learn about because I was like, I don't fit in. I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm not mentally ill. I think I'm more aware and more awake and happier than most people. I just don't
Yes.
fit into this whole thing. I don't
Yes.
fit into the marketing. Or you have to market and you have to do this. I'm not doing that. I refuse
No,
to
don't
do
do
that.
it. I don't
And
do
then
it either.
things just started flowing. Like I have an interview tomorrow to teach functional nutrition to people in a mental health counseling place.
Perfect, perfect, perfect.
And
And you
like,
can send them to this, right? You can send them the whole natural healing radio hour, right? They can watch it on their phones at night when they're ignoring the bad therapists.
well, the
um,
therapist actually,
oh,
she's very holistic. She's
good.
taken the owner. I met the owner. She's from New York, typical New Yorker.
Yep.
Super smart, like super with it. And she's taken acupuncturists. She's taken
Great.
Reiki people. She's like, I don't know what else to do for these people.
Okay,
I don't know
great.
what
So
else.
that's why you're going there. I get it. So yeah, well, this is, and you know immediately, right? If somebody's open and ready to hear it, and that's that reversed flow, right? Now you go in there, it's like it's too powerful what you're offering. It's just going to be so powerful.
But what I
And
offer most is that I listen. I'm a
I
compassionate
know.
person. I want
Mhm.
everybody to be healthy. I want everyone to be happy. So sometimes all you need is someone to listen to that and not put diagnoses on you or put like thoughts into your brain that you're not capable of getting better. I can't stand that.
I can't stand it either. Exactly. That is the whole problem with all of it, right? It locates that you've got a problem, and it's like, no, you have a belief system brought to you by in the insane world we live in, and you can wake up from it and you can heal from it.
Well, that's
Heal
what
it.
German New Medicine is, that you have a thought that makes you sick. It's
Yes,
all that. And
that's all that.
they put the guy in jail. They took away his license, the one that I'm just starting to study that.
Mm.
They took away his license and they put him in jail because he was like, no, people are not don't have diseases. This is what they have. I don't know if it was a miasma, something that happens, a thought, something, some trauma happens to you, and then it affects the whole body. And
Yes,
I'm like,
yes.
that makes sense to me.
Yes, yes. This is why I was saying yesterday, right? Like, take all beliefs out, all isms, all theories, all everything. What's left? And in the direct interaction with reality, with just this moment, right? And there is, in this moment, where's the money? Where's the disease? Where's the anything? It's all made up. And your body is saying very clearly where to give attention, right? Where there's pain, where there's a block, where there's a dust, like a dull area, right? And that's PS where the cancer would be, right? Cancer
Right,
is
but if
just
they're
a
medicated, they're not even, they can't even think straight. If they're medicated, that's what they do. They medicate everybody. Even
yep,
my friend who got me this interview, she's a mental health therapist. She's been on antidepressants. I said, get off those antidepressants. She
yep,
just realized it took her months to get off of it. She was on, what was she on? Something strong there. And she said, I think it was numbing me. I'm like,
yeah.
absolutely it was numbing you. Maybe I act crazy because I'm not on any medication. So I'm like, I laugh, I sing, I'm spontaneous. She's like, wow, what is it with you? I'm like, I don't take any medications. I
I'm
don't
saying,
self medicate. I mean, I do
yeah.
my shrooms once a week, very small amount, like a microdose, and I take CBD for sleep, and that's it.
Yes, and that's
But I'm
natural
not,
medicine. That's
I'm
natural
not
medicine.
suppressing anything. I'm not
No.
like, if your relationship doesn't work out, you don't take an antidepressant. You leave the relationship,
Yes.
right?
Yes, precisely. Precisely. That it's so, so, so simple. The
Simple,
body
so
is just
simple.
saying awareness can listen to the body, and the body's like, yes, no, yes, no. So, so simple.
Totally, totally.
So this is
Like my
not a
husband said, I
big
was crazy to want to divorce him. No, I wasn't crazy. I wasn't fulfilled. I didn't feel loved. I had all the material wealth that anybody
Yep.
could want, but I didn't have emotional intimacy with him. He wouldn't have conversations with me. He wasn't interested in talking with me or really knowing who I was. I was just the figurehead there, like the wife, whatever, and like just do your job and
Yes,
and zip
yes.
it, basically. No, he just didn't want to talk. He had no interest in talking. Like he called it small talk. Like emotional intimacy, getting to know somebody and really talking to them. He's like, that's small talk. I'm like, no, that's not small talk. That's like a
So,
relationship.
totally, totally, totally. You and Randolph, two fairies, just nice alignment there. Yeah, exactly. Well, this is it, right? Then it's just it's like a giraffe trying to mate with a zebra. Like we're different species. We don't click. It's just not true, right? It's food that doesn't work for me. It's clothes that don't work for me. There's just reality, and the body is always speaking what it wants in reality. And then you just help us do that. So we all are starved for that. We're starved for a reintroduction to reality, to the body, right? To actually show up and feel and hear what's true. So I say you come on and teach, and we just offer it for free, and then you get paid per the hour. But what we're building is the curriculum that's just available for free for anybody to plug into, right? And it's a place to go and a place to funnel resource to grow this moneyless virtual village, right? And it really, I'm always saying, like, it's no big deal. It's so simple. Like, I don't like, I'm gonna start repeating myself pretty soon, you know
Is it
because
living like the way the Amish live? Because I love the way they live. I love
yeah,
it.
well, it's living naturally. So it's whatever's true in our body. So I mean, the Amish are, there's a whole religious component there, but yeah, for it's living it natively. It's living naturally. It's living according to the body. So what I see is we literally our body will tell us exactly the habitat we want to live in, and then it'll tell us the pace and like the food we want to eat, and then it'll be like it's like I don't know, just any fantasy that you can imagine, right? A fantasy novel or something where all the mythical creatures are coming. They just find themselves, right? All the hobbits find each other, and all and it's all the like European, center or European lineage hobbits and the European lineage folks. And then if you grew up at a certain, you grew up in Cuba and that's your blood, you might find yourself at that latitude with other other fairies.
Have you been to
I don't know.
Europe? I
I
love the
have
way
been
they
to Europe.
live. I
Yeah,
love the way they live. And like, these people know how to live.
they know how to live.
They're
Yeah, they're
all eating together. They're not
yeah.
killing themselves. They take a 2 hour siesta in the middle of the day. When I went to Spain, like everything was closed for 2 hours in the middle of the day. The Italians are like making love in the middle of the day. They
Yes,
know what's important. And it's
yes,
not kill yourself, grinding yourself to make the money. It's not. It's about enjoying the moment. Whether they
yes,
have little tiny apartments, they
yes.
don't have big homes, or
No,
the most of the people, and they're happy. They
I'm
have
talking
delicious
about
food. They have community.
decolonization.
They have
Yes,
that's how I want to live.
yes.
And
Everybody wants decolonization. Everybody does. There's no body that wants to be colonized, right? The world is not a colony. We've been set up as a colony, but basically enslaved all the corners of the earth at this point. But there are some communities, I follow a gal from an African village, unbelievably beautiful, right? Like fresh food everywhere, so much fun. Everybody's just hanging out. It's so beautiful. It just makes so much sense. But there's always pressure because the world economy is, stealing resources and selling them back. So what we need is that decolonization, but we have to start with decolonizing ourselves. And that means you honoring whatever in the world is true for you, right? Don't enter the matrix. You just do your thing. And
I
that's what
don't think
I'm
I've ever
doing.
been in the Matrix. I'm so out of the
Yeah.
Matrix. I've never, like, everybody's
You
like,
never
you're
really
crazy.
existed. Yeah.
I
exactly.
was
But I
birthing without a doctor 33 years ago. They're like, what? What are you doing?
yeah
I
yeah no
breastfed for 8 years. Like, people don't do that. I'm like, what do you mean people don't do that? That's the world average is like, I nursed the youngest one for 3.5 years. The world average is 4 to 6 years.
there you go, there you go,
I
and
mean, that's the
nothing more
normal,
nutritious
natural
than
thing
breast
to
milk.
do.
Yes, yeah,
It's
absolutely.
just, no, I don't fit in. I haven't fit in. I don't care.
You don't care. Well, this is it, and you and I and us other weirdos are going
That's what
to
my kids, Mom, you're
resenting.
so weird. I'm like, I don't care. Mom, you're
Good.
so weird. Not anymore. They
Highest
don't say that
compliment.
anymore.
Well, because the tide has turned. Because people have reached the end where it's like it's just a wall, it's just a cliff. This doesn't work. It can't work. I'm dying. I'm getting sick because it's all insane, right? In an upside down world, the crazy ones are the sane ones, right? It's that's the truth. So the weirdos are we're onto something. We're a little ahead of the game. It should all be free. It's all very simple. Everybody can be fulfilled. We're meant for that. Here's some options to eat. Does it feel good to your body? You know what I mean? We can sum it up pretty quickly.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
cool. So I think let's have you on. Let's give you as many hours as you want and handouts and everything else, and then you've got your curriculum, and we can just plug people in, and that's what I see. That's the new PBS. Everybody's got a show. Everybody's giving it away for free, and then people are going to be so attracted to it because it's actual knowledge, it's actual wisdom that the resource and the money will come in. It's never about that. Maybe it'll just. I mean, who knows? We don't know how that's going to
Yeah,
go. But
I
it's
don't even
yet.
worry about it,
You know,
honestly. I would say
the
for
truth
me,
is you don't even care. Yeah.
no, for me, there's always everything has always worked out.
Yeah.
I mean, I've
Me too.
gone through really difficult times, but when I trust, like I was moving into the place where I am now, and I came here to see it. I'm like, oh, I love this place. I want to live there. I want to live there. And then I got into my head. My body was saying, yes, the place is beautiful. They have a billiards room. They have a karaoke room. They have a beautiful space, gas grills outside. It's a lot of university students here, but it's a really nice, beautiful building. All these incredible amenities, private movie theater, just really, really cool. And then I was like, oh no. And then I got into this story in my head, and I almost didn't move here. And I had already seen the place 3 times. I got into the story in my head, no, because they're charging for the Wi-Fi and they're charging for the parking and all this stuff. I almost didn't move here. And then when I finally moved here, I was like, I was guided to move here. I
Yes.
was so
Yes.
even the woman in the leasing office said, "You're supposed to be here."
Yeah.
I almost didn't move here because of the story in my head.
Same. And that would be everybody. That I've not found anybody who doesn't get caught right in the old stories. But meanwhile, I always say, like, meanwhile over here in reality, your body is like, move here, move here. And like I say, it often sounds like, I don't know why, I just like it. I don't know why, this is just what I want to do. I don't know why, I just
Oh,
want to talk to this woman. Yeah.
that happened to me. I was raised Catholic, okay, and I sent my 4 daughters to an all girls. I was raised kind of cafeteria Catholic because my mother didn't really practice. She just said go to church. And then all of a sudden, I don't know what age I was. I get this like yoga. Go teach yoga. I'm like yoga, yoga. That's like the antithesis. I love yoga. I've practiced yoga for 32 years. I thought a yoga teacher, me. I became a yoga teacher at 56. At 56, and I kept fighting it. Like, no, this can't be right. This can't. And I was being led. Like, this is what you have to do now. This is where you're supposed to be. It was amazing when I surrendered to it. It's amazing.
It's amazing. I know. Well, this is it. And it's so lush. Like gift after gift comes because you honor the gift. You just you honor life, and then life keeps honoring you, right? Whatever we do something from, we're going to get more of that. So if we do it from
But no one
compromise,
ever
we'll get
talks
more
about
compromise.
that. No one
I know, but
teaches that.
I
No one
know.
teaches that.
I
Like I
know.
would have been an artist or a singer or I've been on a dance on stage. I've sung on stage. That's what I would have done if I could have. No one ever said follow your heart. I did say that to my 4 daughters. Follow your heart because you really have to be happy in life. Life could be like this. You could like be in a car accident tomorrow at age 20 and
Yep.
everything is over with. You have to follow your heart. But no one ever said that to us.
I know. Exactly. Nobody did. But we're
It's
going to
like you
say it
have to
now.
do
We're going to
something
sing
in
this
your
from the rooftops.
life.
Yes, yes. Because what else are we doing? What else are we doing? And if we do this, if we do that on Mars, and when we are, the comparison, you know what I'm like? I'm like, so you're gonna go with the smart cities and more shots and living and like getting a chip. Like, is that your choice, or do you want to come over and have some fun? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I want to
Like,
create an intentional community or move to
yes,
one. I want to buy
yes,
land
yes.
and create an intentional community. I wanted to do that for 20 years to
I
be
don't know
in
anybody who doesn't. Underneath all their conditioning, everybody wants that. And what intentional community just means the heart centered, right? The other people like me
Yep.
and neighboring villages. And what I see is it like concentric circles, like the flower of life, right? Where we're just interlocking villages where this one has this kind of flavor and this one has this one. And it's just natural. It's just where we
Well,
would
there
go.
actually is that. It's called Seven Cells. Have you followed John Bush at
No,
all? Live Free
no.
Academy? Live Free Academy. I started following it in 2020 because I said this is going to turn horrible. Like we have to get out of this out of this matrix. I'm in a smart city right now. They signed up for it in 2018. I researched it and figured it out. And he's like Live Free Academy. And what they do is they've done research and what they found is that the ideal village is 10 people with a different skill set. And then you have this mycelium network of all these villages, everybody exchanging with other villages. But they found that what worked, and they've been researching for a while, 10 people. And I'm like, wow, that sounds great. That sounds great to me.
Sounds great.
10 people, and
Great.
then you
And then
exchange with other 10 groups of 10 people, and you create this. It's called Seven Cells. There's a guy named
love it.
Derek Bros. He's on here.
Oh,
He's on. I just found him on Substack this morning. Derek Bros. He's in Mexico. They put on these. It's called the Greater Reset. Like how to get out this great reset
oh,
that they're trying to reset.
he
The
DM'd
Greater
me.
Reset.
Okay, great. I got him. We're in there each other's DMs. So I'll
Okay,
have him on. Yeah, great, great, great. Yeah,
have
that's
him
what
on
I
because he's
see.
amazing. He's
Okay,
amazing.
cool. Cool, cool. Okay, great. I mean, this is it. We're gonna just we're gonna interlock here. We're gonna find, and we're just gonna teach it, and then we're just gonna do it. Who cares what the Matrix folks are doing? Do you know what I mean? And it's gonna be such a fun party. Which is Jeremy said, it's like in the new internet, whether it's Seed Hypermedia that does it or what, it's basically what we're creating is a great party online, right? And then same on the ground is that life is just a celebration and a fun time, which is what we
If
all
you,
wanted, right? We just reserved it for childhood. We're like, okay, you get to play till you're 5 years old, and then you get to go into the indoctrination camps.
yeah, it's so sad.
Yeah,
So sad.
yeah,
My children were so happy, and then, well, one of them really loved school, but I could see that they were in dark. That's why I wanted to pull them out and travel the world for a year.
yeah.
And my ex-husband said, "You're crazy. You're crazy." We had 3 children. We had no debt, and I was like, "Why not?
Why
Why
not?
not?"
Why not? That sounds like
And I was
sanity to
like
me.
20, 27, 28 years ago. It's like I was feeling it in my body. I don't want to be in this. It's like I feel like a hamster in a wheel. Like the day ends, the day begins. That was my mantra. The day ends, the day begins. And we just started this, and it ends, and then I started over again, 6 o'clock in the morning, getting kids ready for school, and it just felt so off. And he said, "No, you're crazy." Because he's
Nope.
come from a family that education was the most important thing. He went to a great prep school, then he went to law school, then he got a second law degree, and he is super successful.
Yep.
But is he
Yep.
fulfilled? I don't know. I don't think so.
I'm gonna say no. I know those guys. Like these are folks I work with, right? Where they reach the end, they get their millions or whatever, and then they're like, wait a minute. um, so yeah, to lead from fulfillment from jump, we're gonna build a whole different life, and we're doing that. It's not. It's like it can't like the Matrix can't compete. It can't compete with freedom. It can't compete with truth. It can't compete with people who are following their fulfillment. We're just not going to buy what they're selling anymore, and we are not in droves. Like this is why I love TikTok. It gives you the what's really happening on the ground. No, but everybody's over it. We're just done. We're just done. So it feels like a beautiful time to like
But so many
just
people know
build it.
nothing. So many people know nothing.
I
One of
know.
my young friends, he knows nothing. He didn't know anything about the shots. He took them. He claims he's libertarian. I'm libertarian. Nobody in the libertarian community took the shots. I follow, what's it called? Brownstone. None of those people took the shots. They were all for health freedom. All these people are for health freedom. So
Yeah.
many people have no idea because they still watch mainstream news. So they are clueless as to
Yeah.
what's happening.
I know we're gonna yell it from
I
the
have to wake up a lot of,
rooftops.
and I talk to everyone about this. In the gym, I sit in the sauna and I have like sessions with people.
Great, great. I love it. I love it. I
Everyone
love
that I talk to, so far I haven't had any negative stuff happen at all.
it.
Except
Yeah,
for two
yeah,
childhood friends that said like, shut up and listen to Fauci. I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
yeah.
I've been on this holistic path since I was 19. I think it saved my life. I'm not going to listen to Fauci. I'm not going to listen to these people. They're so.
Yeah. I know. I know. I know. We've been there. They're
I think if
really
people
good
didn't watch
salespeople.
TV, we'd be doing great. If no one watched TV, none of
Yep.
this would have been able to happen. They wouldn't have been able
Exactly.
to indoctrinate so many people and brainwash them and put them into fear mode. It wouldn't happen.
This is exactly my idea for with the new PBS. It's like it's a different TV. It's like so we're all because there's something so beautiful about having screens. Like people have woken up through them, and we're connected as one world. But it's basically right Empire's TV or real people TV kind of thing.
But even on Substack, there's a huge leftist
Oh,
agenda. Like I'm looking
100%.
at these.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm looking at these posts saying, "How can they have 35,000 likes? Are these
Yeah.
fake? What
Oh, they're
happened?"
fake. They're bots. There's already
Okay,
bots. Yeah,
because
they're bots.
because the left was not on Substack when I started on Substack a few years
No.
ago. It was not the left. It was everyone who had been censored, all the radicals, all the crazies, all the weirdos like us who
Yep.
came to Substack like we don't want to be part of this of the matrix anymore. And
Yep.
now when I see these posts like this morning, I'm like, how can these people have 35,000 likes and dislikes and it's all
Yep.
BS from the
Yeah.
left.
They're all bots. Yeah. Yeah.
They are
I mean,
bots, or
they're
they're just
bots.
putting those
I think.
numbers up there. So who bought
Uh,
Substack? Because you said a billionaire bought
I
it.
don't know. Somebody knows on here the name of the billionaire, but it was the same thing what happened with TikTok. We watched the algorithm change, and same thing. I didn't notice. I didn't see those kind of posts until recently. I've only been on Substack maybe a year or something, so it's not been that long. But anyway, it's so glaring. And that's kind of what I mean by the comparison. It's like it's so glaringly obvious when somebody's bought off. These days to me it's like a flashing light. I'm like, oh, you're bought and sold, or you're free. And to me, so when I go on Instagram, I'm like, everything's bought and sold. There's just no. I mean,
No,
there's a
there's
few
some real.
voices,
I
but
follow all the real people on
you
Instagram.
find
Sayer G from Green Med Info. I
yeah,
follow the real people on
there's real
Instagram.
people there, but like relatively, right? Like what you're getting fed. So it was just Substack is now trying to feed us, and so you're right. There's so many people still blind, but to me the writing's on the wall. It's just going to get louder, and even if people keep buying into the institutions, it's not going to work. Like they're not going to like and like everybody I know personally and collectively is in crisis. Everybody. And in crisis, it's like I don't give a shit anymore. I need real truth, right? I need something that actually works. And this goes back to like where we started with money. It's like take my money. So you have the free offering and all that's so beautiful like I do, but then, if people want to drill down and do one-on-one with you, $500 an hour or $250 an hour, whatever you want,
Yeah, I
because
wouldn't. I wouldn't change my price. I haven't even.
yeah,
I haven't even raised prices. This is how much. This is how much trust I have in the universe, which is like so
good.
fairy
Okay,
like.
great.
I'm like, oh, everything's fine. Everything's gonna be okay. I'm not gonna worry about anything. And literally, that's how I have lived my life the past 20 years. Oh, it's all, even before I
I
got
mean, it's
married.
true. It's
But I
true.
didn't
It's
realize that
actually
was
true.
true. That's just the way I'm like, I'm not going to worry about this. I'm not going to worry
No,
about it.
fear is the lie. Fear is the insanity. You honoring your body is sanity. So that's what I mean. You've been called insane, but it was sanity the whole time. And what I'm realizing is like you don't even really have a money issue. Like it's not
No, I
real.
don't have a
We're
money
just
issue. I literally don't
yeah,
have a money issue. I have
no.
savings. And I even pulled out cash out of the bank. In 2020, I pulled out a big chunk. They didn't have it. They said you have to come back in little pieces. You have to come back and like we can't give you more than like $20,000 a week. I'm like, what? No, I want this big chunk of money. I want it out now. I stuck it in a credit union. I don't know how much safer credit unions are, but I was listening to Catherine Austin Fitz and what's
Yeah.
the other guy in Hawaii who was talking, Edward Dowd. Like these banks are going to crash. All this. I told my former husband and the whole family, the banks are going to crash. The stock market's going to crash. They're like, oh my God, she's crazy. They got out of. I was telling them everything before it happened, like probably 4 years before it happened. Did the stock market just crash? I don't have anything in the stock market. Did it just crash?
Yeah,
Huh?
crash. Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
did. Well, there you go.
Absolutely.
I've been
Yeah,
telling them
yeah.
this 4 years ago. They'll go like, "Oh my God, mom, you're insane. Mom, you're crazy." I'm like, "Okay, fine, don't." And my other friend said, "No, you're like 3 years ahead of whatever's going to happen." But I
Yeah.
was listening to people, and it sat with me. It resonated with me. Okay, Catherine Austin Fitz is telling the truth. Edward Dowd is telling the truth. This one's telling the
That's it.
truth. I could feel it
You
viscerally
can
in my
feel it.
body if
Yeah.
something is true or not. And
That's
so I
it.
share it, but then
Exactly.
they think I'm crazy. Like, oh my God, she's crazy.
Well,
Every
I
single
don't,
thing that I
and
told
we
them
don't.
has happened. Every single thing that I told them. My ex-husband now has Parkinson's. Like maybe it was coming along, but now it's full blown, full blown.
Yeah.
And his health
Yeah.
went like down the tubes. He took all the shots and the boosters.
Yep.
And they made
Yep.
all the attorneys in their law firm take them. Anyone who worked in the law firm, I'm like, I wonder how many people they killed.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's the
And it still happens.
largest crime in world history. Yep. Um, P.S. I have somebody I'm in contact with on Substack who reached out who can help heal the spike proteins and has a whole protocol and things. So we'll have them on too. And we're just gonna give away this information and wake people up for sure. That's why we got together. You don't have any issues. We need
Well, I
to.
do have this block, but maybe it's whatever it is. I'm not going to worry about it.
It's just a little story. Like
It's a
we
story.
believe
It's
we have
definitely a
pro-
story. It's
it's just
definitely a
a story.
story.
It's just
Well,
not,
it
and
started
you
when my grandmother said, "You don't have to worry about anything because you're going to get married." This is what she told us. My brother went to boarding school. My brother went to private Catholic high school, like super academic. He was very smart, very prepared. He worked on Wall Street in New York. He worked at the Paris Stock Exchange. And us, she's like, don't worry about it. You're gonna get married. And we did get married. We all three got married, but that's like not the
It's not
solution.
fulfillment. That's not, no.
Well, it
And
was
that's,
fulfillment for me. Being married
it was
was
just, yeah,
very
sure.
fulfilling for me.
I don't mean
Raising
that. I just
children
mean
was
like it's
most
a missing
fulfilling for me.
piece of, yeah, of like of your own path, right?
Right.
Like because what she means is like that's the way you're gonna survive, and that's your role. That's all that women are for.
Yeah,
And
she
it's
was
like,
born in 1901 and wasn't allowed to go to school past eighth grade, but she was like the smartest one in the family.
of
That's my
course, yeah,
smartest, intuitive. My
yeah,
ex-husband said, "You're like one of the smartest women I ever met." I'm like, "No, I'm not indoctrinated. I didn't do this whole. I don't have a master's. I don't have any of that. I have intuition, and I
yeah,
listen, and I pay
yeah.
attention to what my body's saying. That's it.
That's it. That's
That's
where all the
intuition.
wisdom comes from.
Like
Yes.
he doesn't understand that. Men don't get that. Another man,
No.
the older man that I dated, also, he was like Thunderbird School of Business, youngest vice president in Citibank. He's like, "Wow, you're so smart." I'm like, "No, I'm
I
intuitive.
see. I
I,
see.
I
I see. I
honor.
know.
I see and
Yes.
I honor that
I
because
mean,
that's what
yeah.
is real to me. It's not
Yes.
it's not higher education indoctrination at all. I'm
No,
I'm
no.
out
And
of
it's
that
the
box so much that
no.
it's
And women do. We just know, I was whenever I was talking about that, it's like this inner knowing. And you go, well, how do you know you like that spaghetti? I just do. I know what I know. You see, and because our bodies are, we are the collection of all this wisdom. We feel everything. We sense everything. We have this. Randolph was using the metaphor of mother trees, right? So the mother tree is senses everything that the tree family around her needs, right? Which is probably about 10 trees, for the fairy circle. And then, but we know now that it's way beyond that, right? So she just senses, oh, this one over here needs this nutrient. This one over here needs to block from those bugs on that tree, right? And she's sending out those signals through the mycelial network. That's a woman's system. That's a woman's, intuition is this incredible mother tree that we each are. And then men are too, but the flow, right? They're meant, the flow of them, the masculine is meant to serve that mother tree so that she keeps serving the whole tree family.
well, I tell
So
my
yeah.
male friends that I'm like, listen, God made women intuitive because they're the ones that take care of the children. We have to
Yeah,
know how to take care of. I mean, that's protects the entire civilization. If we're taking care of
exactly.
offspring, if we're giving birth, to me, that's that. And they're like, oh, really? They don't believe that. But I think most of
Yeah.
them, like you have said, are misogynist
They're misogynists. That's exactly. They really, really believe that
or
men are,
narcissist
yeah,
also.
yes. But that we know that all goes back to the core wound. It's their own sense of separation inside of themselves, right? And then they're in this competition. They're in this zero sum game, and the way that they get ahead in the story of manhood is by denigrating women.
Oh, and I find that the men that are like that were not mothered.
No,
That's why they're
exactly. They're
attracted to
missing.
me. The,
Yes.
the Lost Boys, including my former husband, he was never mothered. He wasn't nurtured. He wasn't loved like that.
Yes.
I don't even think they held him.
Wasn't
I think he read
seen.
Dr. Spock and stuck in, like she would say to me, "Why are you holding your children so much? Why are you nursing so long? Why are you kissing your babies?" I'm like, "Are you kidding me? This is just instinct to me." She
Yes.
didn't get it.
Yes. Yes.
It was
And this
also a
this
different
is
culture.
yes, and this is the wealthy folks, right? With the billions and the multi-millions and the elite, the colonizer lines. Those are all lost boys. They have, because they're the family, the whole family. The reason they have children is the agenda to keep the colonizer line going, right? And so that each child is just used for the patriarchy. It's just used for the story. That's why it's so heartbreaking. Like Zach Bush, he was told he was going to be president, right? So now he's got this agenda on him. He's never enjoyed a day in his life. It's just all, it's all
Three
his
medical
his grandmother's
degrees.
agenda on him. Yeah.
Three medical degrees. Like, how long did it take to do
Exactly.
that?
Exactly. All in the service of like playing the good guy to,
Or never
and
being
who
good
knows?
enough. Not enough.
Never. No, because not enough is the story that will just keep perpetuating a chase to get to good enough. You're never going to get there. But like we've seen with these beautiful men, when you heal, everything heals. It's game over when you heal. Randolph, coming in there and loving himself, and then, oh my God, the relationship with women is so different. It's just like, let me sit at your feet and tell me everything. What do you need? How can I serve you? It's just so beautiful. And like the fountain of blessings that I'm getting from Randolph every day, just him sharing about the trees or whatever insights that come. And that's just because we plugged in, like, it's like you're plugged into source and then they plug into you. And then we're all just resourcing one another. And who cares about money at that point? But, it's just an endless flow of resource. So I'm
I
going
was
to,
plugged into Source when I was married. It was so
yeah,
fulfilling. It was the most beautiful thing I ever went. And then I got divorced, and it's like you don't fit in society anymore. You're like a pariah.
yeah,
Like, what happened? It was bad. It was a really rough, like, 10 years of like, oh my gosh, you got divorced. They always think you got divorced because you want to have sex with other people. That's not why I got divorced.
yeah.
They always think like, oh, the divorced woman, like this scarlet letter on them. It's
Right.
like it's so.
So silly.
And so then I lost my whole identity because I wasn't a wife. I wasn't the main. My children were not the center. It was bizarre. It was so bizarre, and I think a lot of divorced women go through that also, of like totally
Absolutely.
losing their identity, and then they
Yep.
don't fit in the world, especially if you're a stay-at-home mother and you're
Yep.
not working.
Yep. Oh,
All of a sudden you
absolutely.
have no value, zero value. It's
Yeah.
bizarre.
It's bizarre.
And
And
then I had to
it's the
find my way
opposite,
back.
right?
It's
That they have
what?
so much value, but yeah,
Yeah, but
yeah.
society doesn't put value on that. Still,
Mhm.
I keep
Mhm.
telling young women that I meet, you cannot do it all. You cannot do everything. You will burn out.
Don't believe it.
You know what? Have your career, then take a break, wait until your children go back to school, and then go back and have your career again. But if you try to do everything at once, you are going to burn out.
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
have the bandwidth to go out and work when I was nursing for 8.5 years and running two homes and
Of
taking.
course then.
I maybe I'm weak. I couldn't do it. I
Yeah.
could not
Yeah.
do it. I had so much on my plate. That's all I could do.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And we're aiming for what life wants for us, which is fulfillment, not sacrifice, not compromise, not good enough kind of works. My mother and father think I'm good. My husband thinks I'm nice. It's like, I don't know. I don't care about any of that. None of that's real. The only thing real is do you feel fulfilled? Does this feel like, oh my God, I don't want to do anything else? Unless it feels like that, don't talk to me.
I'm
Don't
the
talk to me.
same.
You're conditioned. Yeah. 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 Miriam, I'm just going to check if anybody has any questions for you. Somebody said, welcome everybody, that this is the beginning of the gift economy. Yes, totally. Jeremy says, what do you tell people in 10 minutes? That professional conundrum is so telling of the issue with the prevailing extractive system having no past or perspective. Exactly. Christina says, maybe create this new hospital where people can heal. Yeah,
If
like
I
a
had the
virtual
money,
hospital.
that is definitely what I would do. That's a goal of mine. I even told the doctors that. If I
Yeah.
had millions of dollars, it would take billions of dollars. And I've thought about this for 20 years. I would create a completely different system. Essential oils, meditation, healthy food for the people. But that
Yeah.
doesn't make money. I mean, we'd have to get rid of the entire paradigm of pharma, and hopefully that will happen.
Let's do it. Well, we're doing it like that. So we build, in my view, we build the virtual village, the virtual hospital first, right? And here's all the information, and here's the links to the essential oils, and the artisan that makes them, the natural medicine woman that makes them, the indigenous woman who makes it, right? Like we network that, and then the structure can't hold, right? It can't. It's hoarding information that nobody wants. It's like, here's all the information. It's free. So how do they then start to hoard property? They just can't do it anymore. And we build it on the ground, right? And then each village, right, depending on the habitat, has different medicine, right? So you want the elders of that area to share what that medicine is. Randolph says,
I
I'm
think we
very
just need to go back to living the way the Native Americans did.
That's it. I mean, this is the
I
bottom
was in an
line. Exactly.
indigenous wisdom book club that was so cool. Have you read Braiding Sweetgrass?
I
One of the
have
most
read it.
beautiful books I ever read. Oh
So
my gosh,
beautiful. Oh my God.
so beautiful.
So
And so we
beautiful.
were doing that in a book club with a bunch of my youngest daughter, all her friends. It's like, this is so beautiful. We could just live like that.
Just
Like
live
get rid
like
of all
that.
the
You can do it today.
colonialism. Yes.
Because yeah, I mean, and literally, like the world is free. It is. It's nothing more than a belief. If everybody woke, it's just a dream where you go like, we dream that there's such a thing as money. We dream that there's such a thing as property and ownership, and and then we're like, wait a minute, that's a bad dream. I don't like this dream. We've lived this dream. It's nothing but a dream. The only thing real is like the plants in your backyard, this beautiful woman who I love talking to, right? Like that's it. And we're such simple creatures and we only move toward fulfillment. We're wired for it like every other creature on earth. It's
That's like
nothing
my
fancy.
favorite thing you say. Well, a lot of things you say are my favorite, but that thing of fulfillment. Wow, I just want to see everybody happy and in love. That's what I want to
Yeah.
see. In love with themselves first, and then, having
Yeah.
loving, happy relationships. And you don't see that in the world. I
Yeah.
know rarely, hardly anybody who's happily married.
I know. I
Hardly.
know. Yep, exactly. Because we
I'm beginning
all
to think
got married or did it according to the conditioning, right? We didn't do it
absolutely.
according to the body. Yeah. Yeah. But we flip it. We wake up from the conditioning, we honor the body, it will only ever take us to fulfillment, and it'll take us to fulfillment in ways that we can't even imagine, like in the coolest ways, right, where we just card sorts us perfectly. So Randall says, I'm very tied into modern medicine, so opening this door on this traditional medicine is quite eye-opening. Great. Wildfire Rose, who knows a lot about alternative care. This paradigm has spilled over into the veterinary field too. Only it's worse for animals because conventional vets are taught to and recommend high heat processed feed grade commercial foods. Exactly. We need it for animals
No,
too.
my vet was big into raw food for dogs. I was giving my
Yeah.
dog raw food. He lived
Me
17 and a
too.
half years. And then
Yeah.
I follow all these holistic vets who are like, don't vaccinate the dog. They're all
Yeah.
dying from the rabies vaccine. They're all getting sick. I even mentioned that today on a post that I wrote. You know what? The holistic vets have lost their licenses. They
Yeah.
left the system. So now they're now becoming like consultants for anyone
Yeah.
who wants to have a healthy pet. Like, don't do this, don't do that. No flea medication, no tick medication. Don't do any of that.
Yeah.
Do it like this. I'm in a fellowship group with a Dr. Kaufman, who just proved germ theory. Dr. Andrew Kaufman, do you know him?
No. Oh, I've heard the name, but I.
Former forensic psychiatrist. He's not on Substack. I'm in his fellowship group. He's like, well, he said first, all those diagnoses in that manual is like all bullshit, all made up.
Yep.
But he also said dogs can live 20 to 25 years without the flea and tick, without the vaccines, without this, without that. There was a dog in Portugal recently who lived to 30. 30.
Amazing. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. You're hearing
Without
that,
the neutering,
Wildfire?
without
She
the
knows that.
spaying, without all that horrible stuff that like,
Yes.
that's
Yes.
not normal. It's not normal
That's
to
not
cut
normal.
out body parts of a dog, or
No. No.
none of that is normal.
I mean, this is exactly where we're at. We're ready for this information. You know, there's too many of us talking now. There's too much where they can't kill us all. And it's just we've reached the end, right? Like everybody's exhausted Western medicine. We get that it's a mess, so we're just gonna keep putting this out. Wildfire Rose, come on the pod. Or it's not a pod, it's a live
She's
stream.
an herbalist, Wildflower Rose.
She's she's I'll let her say what she is. She's staying a little underground. But she knows a ton about animal care and would agree with every single thing you just said.
Yeah, I followed all the holistic vets, and I didn't do anything. I did everything the way they said.
Yep. Okay,
And
Lucy
then
has
my
a
dog
question.
lived to 17 and a half. People are like, oh, that's a long time. I said, no, it's not. No, it's
Huh.
not. Probably if they hadn't neutered him, and if I had started him on raw food since he was little, he probably would have lived a lot longer.
Yeah, 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 exactly. Lucy asks, maybe it's just a statement, I don't know, but my daughter will be getting surgery next month, and it has taken me 3 years to come to this decision after trying absolutely everything else and wanting so desperately to heal her naturally, and I couldn't. And so you mentioned cutting things out of people's bodies. I just have this guilt rising in me now and feeling like I'm making the wrong choice, but her sleep apnea is terrible, and I don't know what to do
Is
for
it
her anymore.
tonsillitis? Is that what it is?
Um, you guys probably connect afterward too, just
Okay.
but Lucy, answer that.
We need every body part. We need them all.
We need them
When
all.
they're clogged up, it means that something is wrong. Like I had my tonsils taken out when I was 5. They had me on milk in a bottle until I was 6 years old, like pasteurized milk, deadly for blood type O, deadly. So I always had all this mucus buildup. I had warts. I had the stomach issues. It was in great part the dairy. I also think I'm vaccine injured, but the dairy is deadly for blood type O. If I drink a chai tea that has a little bit of dairy in it, immediately the mucus starts running. So that's the thing, like listen to the body. Listen to
Yes,
what's going
yes.
on. We need all the body parts. We need the appendix. We
Yep.
need it's a storehouse for probiotics. We need the tonsils. There's a first line of defense when you open your mouth. That's the first line of defense for allergies, for everything. We need our adenoids. We need everything. There's no excess parts in there
Okay, great.
that I know of.
We want you to come on. We want you to do everything because this is it. Anji is asking blood type question mark. And it sounds like
Yes,
you're
blood
already
type.
answering the question. Yep. Yep.
Big on blood type. At least try it. I had a massage therapist who was an elite athlete, an African American woman, and she's like, I've got these 20 extra pounds, driving me crazy. I said, and I wasn't even a practitioner then. I'm like, what's your blood type? Because I've been studying since I was 19. What's your blood type? She's like, I don't remember what it was. I said, okay, what are you eating? And she was eating the three most inflammatory foods for that blood type. All she did was eliminate those foods. I think it was chicken, tomatoes, and corn. You lost 20 pounds. Nothing else.
There
She
you go.
didn't change her exercise routine. I follow a blood type diet. I find, sometimes I can get away with it. I can have a little bit of eggplant or I can have a little bit of potato. But if I'm eating foods that are inflammatory for my blood type every day,
Yep.
I'll feel inflamed. I'm blood type O. I digest meat like this. I don't have any issue digesting red meat. I'm 66 years old. I eat red meat 5, 6 times a week.
Great.
It agrees with me. It makes me strong. I feel great. My hair is growing. My nails are growing like crazy. That's what agrees with me. If I eat carbs, I'll blow up. I weigh 300 pounds if I had a diet of carbs.
Well, there you go.
And
It's a little
it's as
different.
simple as that.
Yes.
What's your blood type? There's a book called Eat Right for Your Type. They poo-pooed it, that anything that works, they poo-poo it. He's a naturopathic physician, I'm pretty sure, Diamo. And he
Yeah.
figured out these lectins and all this stuff. That just try it. Just try a blood type diet.
Yes, exactly. Try it, and that's never going to be opposed to just listening to your body, right? Taking that awareness and honoring the body. Somebody says you want to try, this food instead. You want a steak. Like I've done this. There were a lot of elves who thought that they should be vegetarian in my past, clients, where I'd be like, I just need you to try a steak. I need you to try some animal protein, and like, yeah, just heal just like this,
So all my
because it was a
former
story.
mentors are vegans. They're vegan. They were
Yeah,
vegan. I mean, they're not former mentors. All my mentors were former vegans. Kelly
yeah,
Brogan was a vegan. She felt terrible. Do you know Kelly Brogan, the
yep,
holistic
sure,
psychologist?
yeah.
Very cool. She lives in Miami. She goes to my gym.
Okay.
I've been
Ah,
in her program. She's the
great,
bomb. She's very smart. Now she's
great.
gone like off the deep end, but whatever.
Yeah.
You know about that, right?
Yeah,
And then all the
I
other ones,
yeah.
they were all former vegans. They felt horrible when I walked into this uh, the talk that I gave. Someone had been giving a talk before, and they were like, "Oh, plant medicine is the way. Plant based is the way to go." And I'm like, "No, no, 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 no. It's bio individual. It's bio
Bio-individual is the
individual.
word.
There,
Yes.
there is no one diet for anybody. There's no one pill for anybody. There's no one supplement for anybody. It is so individual, and that's the basis of functional nutrition: bio individuality. Starting from the day you were born, starting from when your mother was pregnant with you, was she stressed out? Did that affect your cortisol? Did that affect your HPA axis? Was your mother happy? Were you a wanted child? All of that affects from the day that that you were conceived. Like what's the story around all of that? That's where we start to look at people. Doctors don't do that. They don't have
No,
time for that.
no,
The only one that does it is basically functional nutrition. Functional medicine does it, but they order a lot of super expensive specialty testing. You don't have to do that. You don't have
no.
to start with that. You start with a journal. What are you eating and how do you feel?
Yes.
You clean up the whole lifestyle. Sometimes you just clean up their lifestyle medicine side of the matrix, which you'll see when I come on. That resolves half their problems. Like if you don't clear this up, if you don't take out the inflammatory foods and start sleeping and take out alcohol and start drinking enough water and exercising and getting rid of your stress, we don't even want to see you because it's pointless. You have to do all of that first, or at least
Yes.
start with that.
Well, this is
And then
why our stuff is going to handshake so well, right? Because I can help them wake up from why they're stress eating, why they're eating something against their body, right? Is because they're running themselves all day from not good enough, and they don't, they're completely disembodied. But then it's like wake up from that, come into the body, realize there's peace here, and then here's all these options. Here's this matrix, and the body will just go ding 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 ding. That makes sense. That works. I'll try that. That sounds like what I want to eat anyway. I just had a block that I was a bad person if I ate animals. Yeah.
me too. I had
Yeah.
that. I wouldn't cook meat or eat it for like 30 years.
Yes.
And I was not strong like I am now. Like I told them, I'm healthier in my 60s than I was in my 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s.
Yep.
And from my teens to my 50s. When I
Yes.
started eating meat again, wow, I got all my vitality back because
Yes.
that's what agrees with me. And I was like, no, I can't eat the animal. So now I give thanks. Of course, I give thanks. I try to eat only grass-fed meats, bison, things that there's an abundance of. And that's why they want to take away our meat. They don't want us healthy.
Yep.
They've got all this nonsense, the left with the carbon footprint, that the farting cows are going to destroy the world. No, I don't think so.
Totally fabulous. Yeah.
The Learjets and the Teslas and the mining for lithium and all of that, that's the problem, not the cows.
No, of course, of course. Yeah, the psyops are they're getting
Unbelievable.
they're unbelievable. They're unbelievable. They are
So
very
you
well
eat meat
planned.
now too? You're eating meat?
Yeah, I eat meat. I'm a hobbit, so and not that it's always about that, but I love. I also come from like 600 years of dairy farmers on both sides.
There
So
you
for
go.
me, it's like a bagel and cheese sandwich, and mushroom pasta at night,
And it
and
agrees
some
with you.
juice. And oh, I feel great. If I don't
Yeah.
eat carbs, I don't feel well. Right. So and now I do eat, like, I just go with whatever I want to eat. So the other night I was like, I need a steak and potatoes. So you know.
I'm eating grass-fed burgers on sourdough bread like 5 times a week.
Love it.
This is what
Love
my
it. Love
body
it.
craves. Like, how can I eat
Yes.
the same thing every day? And I'm eating, and I used
Yep.
to eat salads and only fish and seafood and all these sprouts and these seeds and this and that and the other. And I wasn't strong like I am now at
That's it.
all. At
I'm so
all.
glad you're listening. It's amazing, right? This is life just plugging right in. In it together says, I'm a naturopath. I get it and would love to hear more. There you go.
Where's the
Food, mood,
naturopath?
and
Who's a naturopath?
the in it together. We got a lot of fans here. JB says yes, food, mood, and poop journal. I am the queen of poop talk. It's called the bedside manner. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you're
Jen
eating
says
3 meals a day, you should be pooping 3 times a day, which no one ever tells you. I ask the doctors, what do you think is constipation? They're like, oh, like going to the bathroom once a week. I'm like, no, if you're eating 3 meals and it's good food, real food, you should be pooping 3 times a day. If not, you're starting to get an impacted colon, and that's where disease begins. Like Hippocrates, the father of modern medicine, said, let thy food be thy medicine, let thy medicine be thy food, and also all disease begins in the gut, including cancer,
yes.
autoimmunity. Dr. Kaufman disproved autoimmunity. The body doesn't attack itself. You're basically toxic or nutrient deficient. Those are the only two. There are no diseases. You're
Yes.
basically
Yes.
toxic, and then you will have a cold or a flu or whatever, and your body will get rid of the toxins. And that's it. You don't fight it. You just move through it, and that's it. There's no diseases. There's no
Yes.
germs that make you sick. If,
Yes.
if the germ theory has been disproved by him and Thomas Cowan, do you know Thomas Cowan also?
No.
They're both farmers too. They're both living on the land. They're very
Mm,
cool. They're both doctors who left
amazing.
the profession. And
This
there's
is what
like
Zach Bush could be if he weren't bought off by Empire. But there you
absolutely.
go.
So
Yes.
if you
Yeah.
get rid, yeah, that I couldn't understand why he was still like, oh no. I'm like, are you kidding me? This whole thing
I
was
know.
planned, and he
I
was
know.
like denying all of that. You think he knows, or he's just out to lunch?
I think he knows, and they got something on him.
Okay.
Yeah. He comes from the Bush family. He comes from a very, very old colonizer line. He's trapped, you know.
All right. So
He's
my
got
whole life, I saw there's no such thing as germ theory. My grandmother, who took care of me, never once got sick. I
yeah.
had warts, I had pneumonia, I had mono, I had what's the other, strep. She never got anything from me. Her terrain, her microbiome was great. She didn't take antibiotics. They drank milk straight from the cow in Cuba. That's how they did it. They would go
Wow.
get the chicken and wring the neck. And her husband was an orthopedic surgeon. They were not poor. She had housekeepers, laundress, cooks, a chauffeur, the works. But you went to the place. You got the chicken. They wrang the chicken's neck. They pulled the feathers off. You went to the cow. They gave you the milk straight from the cow. That's how she was raised. That was what formed her microbiome. No wonder she was never sick.
No wonder. No
And they
wonder.
didn't have
Exactly.
vaccines back then. She was born in 1901. I don't think they had vaccines back then.
Amazing.
So
Amazing.
so I witnessed that, and I didn't
Yep.
get sick when my daughters were sick. I'm like, this whole germ theory thing, this whole contagion thing. I haven't seen it. I haven't lived that.
Yep.
You
Yep.
know, my
Yep.
husband and I never got sick at the same time. We slept in the same bed. Never got
Yep.
sick at the same time.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
So
Exactly.
that's what has people in a state of fear. The whole germ cooties, like you're going to
Yep.
kill each other or whatever. That's such a lie.
Yeah.
If everybody understood the germ theory is a psyop,
Yep.
there wouldn't
That's
be
it.
all this
It's game over.
fear.
Totally.
Game
Totally.
over.
Game over.
Game
And it's the same
You know how
in
hard it is
therapy,
to
right?
get people to believe that? It's
Well,
cognitive dissonance to like the umpteenth.
I
They
know,
can't.
but the good news is what I do, right, is like I'm not going to get anybody to believe it. I'm just going to say what happens if you don't believe this. If you didn't believe you were sick, if you didn't, right, and just encounter the moment without your story, and everything changes. And that's what I do, right? And I just I let them find out for themselves. I'm not offering another paradigm. There's no philosophy here. There's just reality, and reality is your body feels better when you eat what it wants. So this isn't, we're not, I don't need to sell you on anything, which is the difference, you know?
Absolutely. Mindset
Uh,
is everything.
yeah,
Everything.
yeah. Or no mindset, right? Where we're just set here as, as our being. Like when you were describing your manifestation, it's like, that wasn't a mindset. You were just in reality. You're just honoring what you want and going for it and going for it. And then the flow keeps going. Right, you didn't even, like we were talking about yesterday, where the mind then serves the body, just like the masculine serves the feminine. It comes in, your body's like, it wants what it wants, and then it's like, it's another sourdough bread and burger. You know what I mean? And it'll remind you whether you have the meat in the fridge,
Oh, the
like that's
coolest
what.
thing about sourdough bread, it has a bacteria in it that's in breast milk. I wasn't breastfed. I just learned that. Isn't that amazing?
Amazing. That's so
I love
amazing.
sourdough bread. Do you eat
Me
sourdough
too.
bread?
I made
It's like
sourdough bread for
heaven.
years. Yeah.
Heaven. Heaven.
Heaven. There's nothing better.
Well, there's
Yeah,
bacteria there from breast milk.
that makes so
Is
much
that
sense. So cool, so much fun.
so cool?
So cool. Jeremy says it's actually wonderful that doctors can't successfully repress symptoms. Life speaks up for itself. Precisely. Good listening, believing in them, inspiring them. JB says empowering them, holding space. Yes. Talk therapy can only go so far. Most definitely agree with you both. Okay, got to get somewhere. Thank you both. Much love and big hugs, Miriam and Dr. Megan. Get it all out there before changing dimensions. Totally. Thank God for that feeling of not fitting in. Cool. All right. More Miriam. Everybody says more Miriam. Everybody's into it. Okay. Great. I'm gonna leave it at that. Thank you all for being here. What a beautiful, beautiful gathering. And let's just do this again. Let's just have you on soon. There's so much here.
I'd love to
But
share everything I know and break all the rules
we're gonna
and
break
get
all
in
the rules.
trouble and maybe go to jail. I don't care. I'll teach
You
yoga
said,
in the jails. I'm like, put me. I want to go to prison. I want to teach yoga in prison. They won't let me teach in men's prison. That's where I want to teach. They don't allow it.
yes,
They don't
my
allow it, and I'm
good
not
friend works in
afraid.
men's
I'm not
prison.
afraid.
Yeah. No, me either.
Are
My
you a
friend
yoga
works
teacher
in.
also? Are you a
No,
yoga
no,
teacher?
no. I want to teach this, what I teach, but my good friend works in forensics and she's worked at Cook County Jail and she was a director there. And it's like, it's such a sick system, but she's created new programming in this, juvenile detention center in DC and is going around and doing conferences. And I want to have her on
They're,
here too.
they're all traumatized.
They're all
Nobody's going to
traumatized.
commit a crime
Nobody,
if they're not
no,
traumatized. They were either
nobody's
abused
born a
or
criminal.
ignored, or everybody's traumatized. Nobody would commit a
Yeah,
crime if they didn't have. We're all
no.
born naturally perfect.
Totally, 100%. Say it. Yeah, it's all so simple. So we'll just give it away for free. And I'm sure that if we get jailed, we've got people that'll bail us out. So
Or we'll
no.
change the jail system.
Well, exactly. No problem. I'll just spread this good. I'll just have everybody exploring and meditating. Cool. All right, y'all. What a pleasure. And we'll have
Thank
Miriam on
you.
soon again
Everyone, I
soon.
couldn't read. I didn't read all these things because I'm like, I can't do two things. Well, I
It's too
can,
much.
but I want to be present, so I didn't read them.
Totally.
But
Totally.
yeah, it was such a pleasure to be here. Such an honor. I
Totally.
love
We'll
it.
do
I
it
love
again.
everything you're doing. Like,
I love
yes,
everything you're doing. Yes, and we're just finding each other and we're gonna just put it all out there. Give it all
yes.
away.
Just
Give it
let me
away the
know
farm.
when. Yeah.
Sounds good. We'll talk.
But what's the name of that movie you recommended about the barn or
Oh,
what the
biggest little farm.
biggest
Biggest
little
little
farm?
farm. Yep.
Okay,
It'll just
I'm
show
gonna
you
watch that.
how that flywheel works. Cool. Okay. We'll talk soon. Bye everybody.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.